what has been reported, but what we are doing right now is at about 880 million shillings.
So, Chair,
Question?
also we needed to get mitigation measures on the challenges that necessitated the low performance. For example, if it's an issue of valuation roll updates, which valuation roll are we using? Have we then updated it so that we can have that comfort that this will not be an impediment to underperformance? The other one is there are enforcement issues. What is the nature of the enforcement issues that were there? And so in mitigation, what have you done to make sure that enforcement is done? Chair, as you say, that if that money is not collected this year, it will be collected next year. But when you delay in collection of money, then there will be services that would be missed out. So maybe in mitigation, briefly, Governor would want to hear what you're doing so that we can mitigate these challenges.
We could take a comment from Senator Faki.
Chair, one of the other aspects that maybe the governor doesn't want to talk about is this invasion of land by squatters. Because a squatter doesn't pay anything. I, as a landowner, for instance, I'm obliged to pay rates. But if my land is invaded by squatters, they put up structures, okay? The structures have an approval from the county government.
No. There's no way.
Just a moment.
No. Hear me out.
No, just allow him to. Just allow him to.
Okay, I'll allow him to finish.
They have an approval from the county government. If there's no approval, then there's acquiescence that the county government has allowed, in a way, that structure to be constructed and completed, and people are residing therein. So I, as a landowner, don't feel the need to pay the rates because my property is not protected. So
was it a unique problem in that financial year? Because then it should cut across. It wouldn't explain that financial year.
It's an ongoing.
Okay.
It's an ongoing. So that could be one of the factors that people are saying, me, I can't pay rates when my land is occupied by some other people.
Could be what they have stated here as unclear property ownership, isn't it?
Not necessarily. It's not necessarily.
Okay.
Yes.
Chair, what my able senator is talking about is something that is not just unique in Mombasa alone. One of the major challenges that the coastal region has faced is issues to do with land. There's two types. Of course, there are those genuine squatters, people who actually have lived there, they've buried their loved ones there. And then, of course, there are those ones now who actually invaded. And with today's technology, you can easily be able to tell. With Google Maps, you can actually be able to tell by this state, this is the status of the land, and this is how the status of the land is now. However, the reason why these particular buildings were not done, in fact, it is one of the things that we're working on now. When you apply in our system for building, first of all, it has to have that title deed. Two, you cannot be able to get a clearance to build unless your land rights are cleared. So majority of these buildings that he's saying maybe they have, I cannot be able to confirm or protect, because in any organization there must be one or two bad apples. Whether there are people out there who are protecting people who are doing illegal construction, I'm sure if I even dare to say that County Government of Mombasa is surrounded and all my employees are angels, I will be in contempt. When people end up building, these are illegal constructions that were actually put up. One of the things that we are doing right now, and we are hoping to be able to sign this up before. I've told the team that because the contract for the revenue collection is finishing, I think, is it in November or thereabouts? And we've opted, let us just advertise. One of the things that we want to do is to also advertise on issues to do with illegal construction. So with today's technology, we get a company that can actually be able to give a digital mapping of Mombasa and actually pinpoint that at this particular point there's construction going on, but it does not tally with whether we received confirmation by someone applying for actually building in that area. It's simple technology. They use satellite images, and they can be able to now. So that is one of the things we're doing to try and safeguard the accuracy of what we're after is up to a certain amount of meters. So that means unless you build a barbed wire fence is what might not be able to be caught, but more than that will definitely be caught. This is also now on terms of the building inspections and so forth. Allow me not to get into the nitty-gritties of this, but the issue of the valuation role is actually a valid query that has actually been raised by the auditor in the main audit report, not this one for the revenue. And this is a very old valuation role. Chair, we were taken to court by 6,000 cases. Yes. We were taken to court, there were 6,000 cases where we were taken to court. And the people raised many issues. A lot of issues were actually raised. And then when I got into office, what I did is I took precedence of a court ruling that was done. If I'm not mistaken, it was in Nakuru, where what we had to do was now listen to all those 6,000 cases. I formed the whole, there's a panel, is it the Land Valuation Court? Thank you, Senator. And then now it was even challenged again that the Valuation Court has to be validated by the Chief Justice. We got the Chief Justice to actually evaluate that Valuation Court itself. But the process is not as easy as a walk, especially in an urban area. And one of the major reasons, Chair, why this has been raised with a lot of objections is the issues that I raised earlier. When someone had a property 20 years ago and they actually sold that property 20 years ago, then there were many titles that were registered with the Ministry of Lands and the Registrar of Titles, but then those titles were not registered to us. So when people started seeing their names popping up, that why am I being told that I have land and I don't have land? These are some of the cases that were actually filed. So with that, one has to come before the other. And it is our view that with the digitization we want to do with the County Pension Fund, which we have already signed off with, it is our view that if we are able to do that, then it will be a win for Mombasa on this. Even the valuation will be faster, more efficient. In fact, the current rating act that was passed by this very house, if I'm not mistaken, talks about a valuation role has to be changed every 5 years. Every 5 years. There's also another issue that is there, which is, again, in relation to the valuation role. People have a tendency or a feeling that if you change the valuation role, then that means the amount of money that they will have to pay will be a very, very huge increase. Vis-a-vis, our argument is that you can always reduce the percentage paid on a value of a property. But this is public participation that can only be done once we have done the proper digitization of this. So the part where you talked about, which was being raised here, was this unclear property ownership. Is exactly that.
Okay, I think, Governor, you have explained sufficiently. Fortunately, you are the senator from Mombasa, Senator Faki, is also the chair of lands. And this question of valuation role is not just an accounting problem. It is a serious policy matter which perhaps the relevant departmental committee could perhaps do an inquiry, because every county that has come before us has cited challenges. Kiambu tried it, they were taken to court. Nairobi tried it. I don't know whether they've been taken to court. I cannot recall any county that has successfully updated the evaluation role and used it for rating purposes. And Governor also cites challenges from the judiciary.
Those were overcome. We were able. It was actually someone who went to court and actually stated that you cannot have a situation where, by the way, Chair, there's something else. You know this issue of the valuation court as well. The previous valuation, the Rating Act, the previous one, before the one that was done by the Senate, talked about town clerks. That the town clerk is the one who's going to appoint all this. So they were overtaken by constitutional, the new constitutional dispensation that we currently are in. So with the new one that was put into place, then someone went to court and said that, you cannot have the executive being the judiciary as well. So then a ruling was made that the valuation court has to be gazetted and accepted by the Chief Justice, which we were able to overcome that process.
Okay. Senator Faki?
Chairman, the previous valuation court, valuation rating for the Rating Act, it had a valuation court within the provisions of the Act, where now the valuation court was being appointed by the town clerk, and then there were members also within that framework. But now with the new constitution, all matters dealing with land are supposed to be arbitrated by the Land and Environment Court. So the Chief Justice has to gazette somebody as now chair of the valuation court, just like the other tribunals that are available. And therefore, that's now the process of proceeding in evaluation. I'm yet to look at the current Rating Act, whether it has similar provisions in terms of evaluation role and so on and so forth. But yes, it has been a problem. Even Mombasa previously, before they implemented the current valuation role, the last valuation was done in 1991. That's what the last time they did evaluation. And in 1991, after that, it was implemented, I think, in the late 1990s. Because after that, it underwent through the valuation court. People challenged the valuations because they said that in some instances, the municipal council was not offering any services. But the values were much higher than what was expected. So I think I'll take it up with my committee.
I think we have the right person in that committee. We have the right person in that committee.
Maybe what we need to be clear about is what Senator Faki is saying. Are we using the 1991 role up to date? Or do you have a newer role?
By the way, I think there are some counties that don't even have a valuation role.
And if we even packed those challenges, there is the other element of enforcement. And as we have demonstrated here, your enforcement is weak because you have collected less than you collected in the prior year. Thankfully, it remains as, you call them non-exchange transactions, receivables from non-exchange transactions that will be carried forward in subsequent years. Let me allow Senator Cherargei to go on record, and then we proceed.
Chair, thank you. I've been following online. My apologies for coming late. I was dealing with COG Chair in another committee over other matters of VCD. Cherargei, which is my name, Senator of the Republic of Kenya, representing the great people of Nandi. Chair, I am excited because it's miraculous that the county government of Mombasa has finally appeared before this committee. We have seen litany of postponement. My only question on the receiver of revenue governor, and you are the former chair, I think, of some audit committee in the National Assembly. I can see, Chair, the projection of Mombasa County was 6.9 billion, but you ended up collecting 4.8 billion. Through the chair, what is the major reason that is causing you to collect, missing a target of almost over 2 billion Kenya shillings? And finally, Chair, I have seen on the issue of valuation, and Governor, you need to be careful. You don't say some other counties. We are talking about Mombasa. I have seen there is a letter dated 14 April 2026 that you want to initiate valuation process. So my concern is, what are the budgetary allocation? Is it in your ADP and the annual development plan? and the projection and what is the budgetary allocation, so that this valuation process, and I'm happy your senator, who is a ranking member of the House through the chair, said something about rating. So how long does it take? Because from 91 to now, and I've seen CRA projection, which is putting you way beyond 10 billion if you maximize all your revenue streams. So how long are we looking at? So Chair, my question is, why the missed target of almost 2 billion plus? And what is the length of this valuation process so that they maximize their revenue streams? Chair, I yield back.
I think you found us discussing exactly what you have asked in the first question, because we're going stream by stream to see where the underperformance was. And so perhaps to avoid giving, I don't want you to give a global answer, Order Governor, I don't want you to give a global answer. I want us to continue with the stream by stream analysis. On the valuation role, I think a lot has been said. We were almost giving the governor a deadline, but it is emerging that there are serious statutory and policy issues that the Senate needs to give guidance on. Because I don't know, Senator Cherargei, whether any county has come before us that has an updated valuation role.
I think, Chair, there are a number.
Which one?
Even your Vice Chair is aware. There are a number, unless I'll check my notes.
I know Bomet made some progress, the Assembly
Bomet
approved,
made
but in terms of applying it to rating,
yes,
none of them.
Of course, because of the challenges of finance bill and challenges of that resistance. But Chair, there is a letter, and then what is the purpose of this letter that the governor has attached is not paginated? Governor, you are an organized man. What happened? This one is not paginated.
It is.
The one on this one, I can't see anything. It talks about the one on request to initiate valuation process.
Maybe can I be able to state and clarify on those?
Just deal with that. Okay. On the global question, I think we will go the stream by stream approach that we are taking.
Okay.
Chair, the Senator Cherargei raised an issue of a letter dated 2026. Anyone who is appointed by the governor or any has a time frame and a time limit. So this is to initiate finance. We're actually asking. The letter that he's referring to is from finance going into an internal letter from finance going to the Department of Lands, telling them to initiate. The fact that the team that was there before, the valuation role that was there before, its time had already expired. I started by stating this, and I would have really hoped that would have been here, but it is something that we can be able to avail, communication between ourselves and the Chief Justice, appointment letters, gazettement of that valuation role that was there. But when you're taken to court and then these cases are literally in thousands, my view is having looked at what were the major issues that were there on matters of the court cases that were being presented. You had a lot of people stating that you're putting me on a valuation role when actually this is my late father and is no longer there, or this is something that I no longer own. So the only way that this can be done is through a proper digitization where we can be able to...
I think, Governor, leave it. You are repeating what you had stated. We'll bring Senator Cherargei up to speed. Because you already,
in fact, I wanted to ask you,
you had already put that on record.
Cherargei said
let's proceed.
Okay.
Let us proceed to the next stream.
Yeah, on similar vein, just with your indulgence, then why would you say submit a valuation report if there are those legal and policy challenges? Then is it frozen at that point?
No, I think we are the ones who have come to the conclusion that it is such a broad matter that if we put a specific governor on a specific deadline, they'll find that there are statutory issues, there are problems at the judiciary, some gazettement regulations that the judiciary is supposed to undertake. And this is a matter that we are now asking the Lands Committee to deal with substantively. Allow us to answer your first question, to go to the single business permit stream. Again, Governor, Your budget was 967 million. You collected only 51%, 494 million. And compared to prior year, that was a drop of 105 million on single business permit. Can we first see the reason that your receiver of revenue gave?
Chair, may I read these reasons and also give you the other reasons that are also well known to me?
Yeah. Let's first read the reason.
Okay. The reasons is the revenue stream underperformed, possibly due to reduced business activity. Again, they've used the word possibly. They're not definitive in the.
And you agree with me that it's a problem?
I'm in agreement. Weak enforcement mechanisms or delays in permit renewals. Now, let me just explain, Chair, the true.
Proceed.
The county government of Mombasa signed a contract. We advertised. We realized we have a system. This system was actually developed by the World Bank. The system that was developed by the World Bank is very static by nature. Static in the sense that all someone has to do, and by the way, not saying that it was a bad system, it was an excellent system. It has served the county government of Mombasa for a long time, and it served Mombasa very, very well. But the thing is, it was dependent on someone doing a self-analysis that I'm analyzing myself, and I'm filling in the details, and I want to be able to get my SBP. Then what happens thereafter is we now have to have a situation where at the end of every year, someone does an auto-renewal. Then you have people who are now moving, going around and knocking on doors and saying that, where's your SPP, where's your SPP? This was good then, but now we have technology. So what we advertised for was the mapping of the whole of Mombasa. That means someone that can be able to take the GIS lab that we have, add all the shops that are there, and say that, okay, this is the shop that is here, and give a digital footprint that if this is Bunge Towers, if at all, and I'm not saying that Bunge needs to have businesses here, but if at Bunge Towers, then we have this amount of businesses that are here, and that kind of mapping was meant to be updated on a regular basis. It was also meant to have the satellite cover as well, to indicate all these areas that are there. We signed this contract, we advertised, but we had people who bid, and when did we? December 2024. The way this SPP operates in Mombasa it is not based on an annual financial year basis. It is based on a calendar year. That means your SPP expires by the end of December and you start paying by the end of January. So January, February, March, you start seeing an increase in revenue collection. Because of the change, because we signed this in December, because of the change in January, we saw a huge decline in January. However, it means that there was a spillover after June, because a lot of people ended up continuously paying. So you will now see a net effect of these figures having gone higher in the next financial year.
Governor, let's go back to the numbers. That does not explain a 105 million drop. In fact, in the year under review, you collected even far much less than the 2022-2023 financial year, which had its own challenges, being people coming out of elections. That does not explain it.
Actually, Chair,
it cannot account for a 105 million drop.
We can provide the annual monthly collections for the committee to be able to actually see which particular months are the ones that we see an increase on and which is the particular months that we see a non-increase on. And you will realize that as much as for purposes of audit reporting, there was a drop here, you will realize that in the subsequent months, which of course means that it is now in the other financial year, there was an increase.
Chair.
Senator
Just on a
Chiraki.
procedural matter and in the interest of time, can I agree with you? Can the governor be specific? There was a drop of 105. Can he say maybe 10 stalls were closed, or some revenue officers did not collect, or what is it? You know, I'm getting a lot of linguistics because numbers are very specific. Governor, you should tell us you are collecting 100 stalls. But because maybe you are building a new market and you demolish that, you need to build a new one. That is what caused the shortfall. Because I am really trying, Chair, to understand what caused this drop. If you can give us, then I'll be comfortable to understand this fall of over 2 billion plus. Because if you can explain those details, and they say the devil is in the details, can you tell us that shortfall in mathematical language?
And I think it's not unfair what Senator Chirarge is asking, because there's someone in the PFM Act called the Receiver of Revenue. The Receiver of Revenue, the job description comes from statute. It's not drafted by the County Public Service Board. It's in the Act and regulations. The Receiver of Revenue should be able to explain, not to speculate, that it was possibly due to A, B, C, D. And I'm surprised, Governor, that the explanation you have given around systems did not find its way in any of the formal reports of the Receiver of Revenue.
I started,
and if indeed it was so, as we started from the onset, that if it was my business, if I was running a mafia of collecting rent from business people, and my enforcers tell me that it has dropped by 100 million, I must get an explanation. And I also believe that you have mapped Mombasa in terms of...
Actually, Chair, I want to give a put a disclaimer on that. We advertise for mapping. Maybe let me just explain it. I will not be here on record and mislead by saying that the business is shut down, because that is far from the truth.
Though that's the reason that we are having on the record here.
I'm repeating again, Chair, this is something that I will be handling with my team, because data from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, data from the tourism sector, data from the transport sector, all indications. In fact, I'm also proud to state that one of the things that this government was able to do was reverse on the issues of port services being leveled back into Mombasa. So it is not about businesses being shut down. We have to be realistic, and I'm now stating the way it is. I will not stand here or sit here under oath and state that, it is because business is done now. I'm explaining the way it is, Chair. I know it might be difficult to fathom without a breakdown of the true figures, but allow me, with a lot of humility, I can be able to present to the committee for you to be able to see. We had January, which was meant to be one of our highest months, had one of the lowest, because of the transition into our hopeful new system that was actually meant to give us an increase because of the mapping. I also want to put a disclaimer as we sit right now here, because I know that I will come back here and you will ask me that question. I have tasked the team from finance, the Receiver of Revenue, the CEC as well, that they need to put to task this company that was given this role of actually doing the mapping. Because the last time that I checked, I was being informed that they're and I've told them to give them whether it is a warning or whatever it is, because the whole idea was for purposes of increase of revenue.
But then you have a systems implementation that occasions a loss.
It did not occasion a loss, Chair. I want to now state it again. The system, there was a transition from an old system to the new system. The transition coincidentally happened at the month of December going into January. So the month of January, all those business pairs there was a decrease because of the way the system was meant to be. By the time we started...
Chair.
Let's allow the governor to explain, because it might be...
But the governor, the governor is double speak. He's saying there is no mapping. There was a transition for improvement of collection. I thought when you get a new system,
yesterday,
automatic.
It's my concern as well, but let's allow him to finish the explanation.
Yesterday I had Senator Cherargei saying that he wishes he can speak in Kalenjin. I can speak Kalenjin, but unfortunately this is a house that was...
You are allowed if you want.
Governor, can you
I'm just stating...
Speak to the chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay.
I'm just stating the way it is, Chair. Is it easy for me to mislead? What was so difficult for me to come here and tell you that, you know what, biashara iliharibika, businesses went bad, but I'm just being very, very honest and truthful. And I've said with a lot of humility, allow me to give you that breakdown.
But through the chair, the governor, you are not giving us the real truth. There is absolute truth, the truth. We tell us, we are just asking why the shortfall. You are saying there was no mapping. Business was not shut. And then you come back and say business was doing bad. So who is the receiver of revenue through you, Chair? That can tell us, because under PMF, Chair, with your indulgence, there is an obligation. That is what you're asking, Governor. Because I thought as a governor you should be also worried that there is a shortfall.
I agree with
maybe it is the way I'm explaining it.
Just a minute, Governor. I agree with Senator Cherargei. Perhaps the tone might be a bit aggressive, but that's our concern, that when these numbers are not adding up, this is one of those areas where we only crucify the governor because he's a CEO. But this is a function where the role holder is defined in statute, and they must take responsibility. And when they're reporting, it cannot be that you have different sets of information from what the receiver has. In any case, if the renewal process was affected in January, then it would have recovered in February, March, April, May, June, because the financial year does not close in December. So I think that's where we are coming from. You are trying to explain something from the way you see it, but there seems to be somebody else who's a custodian of records who is not disclosing the real problem and giving us the wrong causes. I think we have discussed it. We don't need to belabor it, but it's something that we need to improve on.
Well noted, Chair.
Yeah. Otherwise, people will say that you are collecting and pocketing. If we do not have that,
people will wrongfully say.
And then even in the next 10 minutes, even if you come down to market fees, again, market fees, there was a drop. Market fees, there was a drop. You only realized 13% of your target. And, earlier on, we were talking about the agricultural producers, the Kongowea markets, which we shall not go back to. But what was the reason given by the receiver of revenue for the significant shortfall?
Market fee collection fell significantly short of the target. This may be attributed to a combination of underperformance, enforcement, temporary closure of markets due to structural upgrades, or health and safety issues, and possible revision of market policies affecting collection efficiency.
On this one, Governor, is it possible, because you have your markets, you know them, these ones all need to be mapped, and you know that market A, this is what we collected last year, this is what we collected this year, and this is the reason for that shortfall. I mean, as a business owner, you'd ask for that information, isn't it? And markets is emotive, because it's small money from our people at the base of the pyramid. And I know those are the people who form the bedrock of your support. I know they're the members of your political party. I know that they're the members, or they're the people who support you. If they have an inkling that whatever they are paying is not being accounted
does it
for...
mean members of ODM are only at the bottom? They are also up.
Yeah, we are a mass, it's a mass movement.
So it's from bottom up?
Yes.
Okay.
So you see the sensitivity here, Governor, is that we wouldn't say that your explanation is sufficient. You would tell us in Kongowea we shut down, and therefore there was a drop. In Market B, there was some policy, and therefore there was a drop. Because you collected 59 million, but prior year you had collected 62 million. Is this also system related?
A difference of 3 million shillings. No, it is not system related at all. Chair, I will give you, first of all, with your indulgence, a market has a very emotive. To go and send people or auctioneers and say that you are removing people because they have not been able to pay for their market stalls is not something that anyone would, in the right senses, really want to be able to do. Did we have a challenge in being able to receive that extra 3 million from 5962 and we ended up collecting only 59? Yes.
Remember, it's 13% of your own target. That 59, it's 13%.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the target is always based on many factors, including the fact that what is the space that we have out there, what is the capacity that we can be able to do. There are two issues, Chair, that we want to be able to try and do. Again, this is futuristic. It will not be able to cure the fact that we were able to collect less last year. One of the things we tried to do when we got into office, and which has prompted us to do the second option that is there, we tried to find out who are the true owners. Who are the true owners of those stalls? Some of those stalls were given to individuals from the time of municipal. Figures and pieces of papers that have since gone missing. It is for you to actually be able to know who is the true owner of a stall here is as good as it's really as good as impossible.
Chair, with your indulgence, I have a problem. Just with the indulgence.
Senator Cherage, what's the point of order?
Governor, it is the issue of governance and leadership, because you have been in office for the last 4 years. This is your third financial year. I thought if we were in year one when you took over, and I know you took over from a friendly county government, I thought these are basics that you should have done, because what you should be telling us, and I agree with you, is maybe you don't have enough revenue officers who can go out. The issue of management and structure, because you have receiver of revenue here, you have town managers, you have people who are in charge of those stalls. We are not saying you should be there personally, because that is not how the government works. It works by power delegation. So if you are telling us that if somebody was given a space in Kongoya Market in 1960 to their grandfather, by the time you go and look for them, by the time that will be 2030. So, Chair, I think, Governor, just be truthful as you have said. What is the real problem? Is it poor governance by your town managers or the administrators you have who runs these market stalls, or is it lack of revenue officers? Do you have a challenge with enforcement? And every Kenyan, I want to defend Kenyans, every Kenyan know that they have obligation to pay. Even if this shortfall of 3 million, even if they are supporters, they know by the fact that I have stole XY, I must pay for the service of using this. Because they know if they don't through the HIV, they don't pay for that service, they will not get a service where you give them sanitary, water, electricity, and other factors. So what is the real challenge, Chair? Because from me, Chair, where I sit, and I wish the Senator of Mombasa would be listening to this, is the issue of governance and leadership. It is not even about collecting, because if you hear what... So does it mean the previous county government did absolutely nothing by ensuring that you have updated collection form of registered markets?
Okay, before you respond,
No, you might not want to touch your brother. It might give you some political problems in Mombasa.
Order,
But
Senator.
can you be truthful?
Order, Senator Chirarke.
With your indulgence, Chair.
Just a minute, Governor. I'll allow Governor to respond. Because of time,
Chair.
Senator Faki has another critical engagement,
Yes.
but he wanted to make a comment.
Yes.
But even us, we must wind down this meeting in the next 10 minutes maximum.
Chair, first of all, I want to say that Senator Gay is out of order for implying that the governor is not truthful. He has sworn to speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Agreed.
On the issue of markets, I'm aware that some markets have been closed. There's a market at Shikadabu on the road, which was closed because of poor, what we call poor uptake of the stalls. Yeah. There's another market which has been constructed in Chani, which has not been operationalized. It has been there. It was built by the late Ramadan Sef Kajembe when he was the area member of parliament, then subsequent takeover by the county government, but it has not been completed. It's just a matter of putting in people, painting and putting in people for people to work and maybe earn a living from that market. What I want to say is that maybe there are some weak supervision by the enforcement officers, and some of these things have to be acknowledged, because you know, as a governor, you cannot be everywhere. Maybe some of your people are letting you down in terms of market, but on the whole, Mombasa has seen maybe a good business and climate environment for the business community. So it cannot be explained why maybe the revenues are falling.
Actually, before you leave, because this perhaps would have been from me the last one, but then I also from the other members. Governor says the economy is not doing badly. Businesses are not shutting down, so that cannot be something that goes on record. You have also stated it as such. But then when you look at another indicator of growth in the economy, physical planning and development, that also reduced by 50 million. And we have not said that someone stole here, someone stole there. But those drops, which are explained broadly, give the suspicion that there could be a problem somewhere in terms of enforcement, in terms of collection, and not reporting. So
maybe the senator goes, what the senator has explained is what should have appeared in these explanations. That market A, B, and C were closed,
yeah,
and that could have necessitated or facilitated the reduction in revenue. You know, we are not specific in the way we answer these questions. And I think you need to sit down, your people who are writing these reports. Maybe they thought we don't read, but when you say there might have been change in policies that facilitated under collection, we want to know those policies, which those policies are, and how they affected the collection. Otherwise, these generic explanations really will not wash.
And this is important because this is the money you get from the residents of Mombasa.
Right.
We sometimes focus on the money that comes from Nairobi, but the money that comes from the people of Mombasa is even more, I think it's even more painful. It's, when we say sweeter, it means it's sweet when you eat it. No, it's,
because the people are becoming more
it's more painful. It's more painful to collect it because it's an additional tax over and above what they've already paid at the national level. Now, I think we have demonstrated the problems here on your revenue reports, and you have also undertaken that you're going to have a conversation with your people. I think that conversation is urgent, and that conversation is important. We will make very specific recommendations. Right now, we are just doing a diagnosis. We are yet to give a prescription. So we will give very specific prescription on administrative action. And where we feel that the reasons adduced do not make sense, we might ask our friends from the ones with capacity, either the Auditor General or EACC, to go into those systems and confirm that the numbers being reported are truly the numbers that have been collected from the people of Mombasa.
Chair, with your
Senator
indulgence, Governor, I think you have heard our concern. that senators might be busy people what we read, and we are keen to detail. The clans, the normal look, most of these responses are generic, and I think your staff have let you down. Unless, maybe Governor, just for clarity, do you run a one-man show in the county government of Mombasa? Just note it somewhere so that I finish.
If I did, I can assure you that we will not be having any misreporting.
Then you should run one-man show so that we get the correct answers. Anyway, that is something you need to, and you are a leader. You need anybody who doesn't perform, show them the door. Mercy is only will be shown in heaven, not in numbers. So my only concern, Chair, is can we have the governor on this receiver of revenue, because I'm dissatisfied and I'll be moving the committee with your indulgence. The governor should be given opportunity to go and relook, give us specific. For example, your senator has just said Shikadabu market because of challenges. We know Wananchi would want near the road, they want a strategic place, it was closed down. That is a valid reason, even OAG will take it. The issue of maybe Chani, maybe it's not fully operational. Those are challenges that we need to be specific to alleviate our concern of this drop from projected 6.9 billion to 4.8 billion. If those details of market fees, and I'm surprised in physical planning and development, because the last time I was in Mombasa, Chair, there's a lot of development in Mombasa. And some of us even have interest. There is so many developments in Mombasa. So when I see there is a fall in physical planning and development,
you must declare your interest.
It's not pecuniary. It is development of Mombasa County.
Yeah, I think it's a fair observation.
It's a fair observation.
You go to Nyali, you can see.
Yeah, you can see.
An upsurge
I know,
of,
Chair, maybe
activity.
Nyali is your favorite sport. Maybe.
No, I can't.
I don't know why did you mention Nyali. So, Chair, I don't know what happens in Nyali. I only know Mombasa town. So, Chair, my only concern is when there is a drop in physical planning and development. If today I come to Mombasa and tell people we are not collecting money, they'll be shocked because they are seeing buildings everywhere. There is affordable housing and many other things that these fees, unless you are waiving some of the national government projects, you can give us a reason. For example, under affordable housing program, maybe with your partnership with the national government, there are some fees that you waive or something. So, Chair, I think the explanation of shortfall of over 2 billion, missing the target, has not been addressed. And with your indulgence, I would move the committee that as we retreat to write our report, can we give time, Governor, to go and give us specific answers, and then we can come back and allow him to give us now the absolute truth. Thank you, Chair.
Can we shape our, like this as like the last question to the governor?
Yes.
Because of time.
You had ruled that we would finish at quarter past, and we're already there. But before you end, maybe let the governor tell us how they manage the hospital fees and the public health services fees, because in terms of comparison, there was a reduction in public health services fees from 1.1 billion to 49 million, but there's no comparison 2023-2024 for hospital fees, and yet we had 1.4 billion. Maybe we need to just get what happened and how you're managing that revenue.
Okay, again, Governor, there are very huge variances, but I think...
Chair, with a lot of indulgence, I'm not doubting your capacity on how you're chairing, but I think it is only fair. The number of interruptions does not give me an opportunity as well.
No, that's why I've directed that those be probably the last round of questions.
I'm more than willing
so that you are able to
if the senators want, because the beauty of a question is to get an answer. You might not be able to agree with me, but then that is the whole essence. But if we are going to interject each other, and Cherelge, you're right, I also chaired the Public Investments Committee, and I also had to one too many times put members in order that it is only right for some.
I think, Governor, that's sufficient.
This is what I was saying.
Your information, Senator
allow me to chair
has been
the
chairing
meeting.
this committee for 15 years.
And that's why I said he's doing a very good job.
I'm not
He's doing a very good job. Our worry is
I must protect you, Chair. I have an obligation.
But you make me sound like Yoweri Museveni. 15 years.
Chair,
You have been very good. And you are a member of ODM. You are deputy party leader. Should be
I'm actually extremely proud of. I'm extremely proud of my senator. I hope as well that members from the other party, their leaders can also say they're proud of them. But for me, I can state that I am proud.
Nomination certificate for him is ready.
Order, Senator Cherargei. Governor,
Chair, allow me just to be able to take. Let me explain some of the issues, and because this goes hand in hand, the issues of physical planning. If you look at the amount of approvals that were actually done, if you now go back into the nitty-gritties, how many approvals were actually done over the number of years, you will see that the approvals have actually gone high. Our plan probably was that, instead of buildings being built 30, our hope was that there will be 30, I'm giving an example, 30 buildings to be built in a certain area. There's a possibility that instead of 30, developers opted to do 26. It does not mean that last year they did 30 and they dropped to 26. What it means is that what we were anticipating was not as high as we thought, but it does not mean that there's a decrease. Actually, if you look at it in terms of the number of developments have actually increased. Two, Mombasa can only be able to grow up to a certain level as well. Right now we have another crisis where people are talking about all these high rises and all that we're doing. That is a conversation that we are working on an internal basis. The issue that I did not get clearly from yourself, Chair, you asked about the hospital fees. I understood Senator Marumi asked how do we handle the hospital fees? Even before the Facility Improvement Fund to be made into law, it was always policy by the county government of Mombasa for money for health facilities to be retained at health facilities. We have never diverted money from health facilities to be used for anything else other than health and health related. So every single facility is currently, maybe the question that you wanted to ask me was, is it the revenue? One thing I can assure you though, we most likely will be seeing an increase on these figures as well. And the reason why we'll be seeing an increase on these figures, for those who have been out and, of course, the people who castigate about SHA and everything else.
Chair, maybe because we'll be looking at these reports even in future, let it be specific, because public health services, 2023, 2024, you collected 1.1 billion. And then you collected in 2024, 25, 49 million. But 49 million for public health services.
Where are you reading
the document you're looking at? The document that you have.
I'm going through the one that was done by the Senate.
That is the one. Now, if you look at hospital fees, that is 1.4 billion. Does it mean you implemented FIF in the year 24-25?
We had FIF. FIF was implemented that day it became law.
It was the first
The governor.
Actually, the first county, yes.
Governor, I can help you. And I don't know why you are technical people are not helping you. It was misclassification in prior year. That in prior year, what should have been hospital fees was classified as public health service fees, which is completely different. So it's a misclassified expenditure. I'm just looking at time. And that's why you carry these technicians around. They should be able to advise the governor instead of subjecting the governor to lengthy explanations.
Actually, Chair, I just want to state it here.
Point of procedure.
No, let the governor speak.
Chair, I want to state it here as well, that amongst the figures that we should be seeing an increase on as well will be the one for health. And when we talk about health, it is both public health and clinical services. This is the reporting on revenue is done collectively from your level 2 dispensary all the way to our level 5. The reporting is done in a similar manner, despite the fact that they might be audited differently, but the reporting is reported under one receiver of revenue. And I wanted to state this here. This is the reason why we need to be in support of SHA.
No, before you go to SHA, you have CPG, which has always been a problem in your books because you are managing it within the department.
It was.
Has it now been devolved as a standalone unit?
Yes. In fact,
and it's got its own revenue and
yes,
and expenditure
the current FIF that was signed into law does not just talk about cost general alone. It also involves the level 4s. So the last time we were at the Public Accounts Committee, we were able to face the Public Accounts Committee on the same. But I think because the FIF was still very, very new, what we are planning to do right now is we've already advertised and we're enforcing these hospitals with better accountants.
Yeah,
as much as we need to get them better doctors, but we also need to get them better accountants, because when all of a sudden you see an upsurge in revenue, there could be temptation of doing other things that are not meant to be.
But let the accountants not be more than doctors.
No. By all means. In fact, Chair, probably the county government of Mombasa has one of the largest database of consultants in the country today. If I tell you the investments that we have done in health as a county government of Mombasa, we're currently building a hospital that I've proudly named Raila Odinga Hospital. It's going to be a state-of-the-art hospital, one of the largest within the coastal region. It's going to be in Kongowea. We're building another one.
It looks very nice on the billboard. I think I've seen a billboard of it. Yeah, I hope for ground itakuwa hivyo.
The works have already started.
I think the governor knows your weakness. When he mentions Raila Odinga, all the questions disappear. You become smiling.
At that point, because you have only 5 minutes to the House sitting.
The name of Raila Amolo Odinga is a weakness to many people, including Cherelgei.
Oh yeah.
So it is a leader that we hold extremely dear to our hearts. We would not be where we are as a country and as individuals if it was not for the input and the hand of Raila Amolo Odinga on us. We would not be here.
Governor, let me put a pause there. I think today's session was extremely important to highlight some of the areas where we need to have more rigor in terms of reporting. Ideally, the Auditor General should have asked some of these questions that we are asking, but nothing stops the Senate from asking these questions. And I do hope that everyone who is in the governor's delegation now knows that if you have a responsibility to provide financial statements, do the right thing. Financial statements cannot be rendered on the basis of possibilities or likelihoods. The numbers are specific. If there are shortfalls, they must be explained, and for every reason given, a number must be attributed to that reason. So the speculative analysis that we have seen in this receipt of revenue statement is completely unacceptable. And I am happy that the governor has indicated that he's going to take action. We want the people of Mombasa to be convinced that when they pay money to the county government for provision of services, number one, that money is faithfully collected and reported, and number two, services are provided in return. That is how you build confidence on taxpayers. That's how you build confidence on citizens, and that's how you build confidence in the county government of Mombasa. There were several paragraphs on systems, which I think by and large, Governor, you have alluded to some of the challenges you have had with systems. Time will not allow us to interrogate them, but also because at the beginning we indicated that we had a small challenge with the county executive report, which was not a challenge of your own making. It is our internal problem. We will now need to set up another meeting now to discuss expenditure, because today we have just discussed revenue. And I think it's important, if you are doing revenue of 4.8, almost 5 billion Kenya shillings, it is not time wasted. And I hope we can do the right things to give that assurance to the people of Mombasa. We will be giving detailed recommendations because I think we have just described the problem without coming up with recommendations. We shall communicate so that when we are coming to discuss the expenditure side, we can also get an update on how far you have gone in the implementation. Now, honorable members.
Chair, before you finish, really, because the receiver of revenue kept on mentioning and pointing fingers on the enforcement. Really, something has to be done on the enforcement. Go and diagnose what the problem is and work on it, because in future, wouldn't want again this being a reason or a scapegoat to under collection of.
Okay, honorable members, I'd like the governor to make his closing remarks unless there's any observation. Time will not allow us to go further.
A point of procedure, you didn't rule on the generic answers vis-a-vis whether we need to reinvite governor for specific, so that we can, because the fairness, Chair, if we take these generic answers, we would not have given justice to the principles of natural justice. So I don't know, maybe you can consider.
We had discussed that at the beginning. On the expenditure side, we have not been able to do anything today, and so we'll have another meeting for the expenditure. But we'll also, in that meeting, we'll also follow up on the issues of revenue that have remained unaddressed, and we hope the governor will also appraise us on the measures that he has taken, be they administrative action, be they policy changes, to ensure that some of the things that are described generically here do not recur in future. Governor, you are closing remarks. Even though, just a second, auditors, is there any challenge you're having with regards to Mombasa? I know you're about to do the, you're about to go in for the 24, 25, 26 audit.
Chair, we don't have much problems. I think the county is cooperating, but we are persuading our governor to honor your summons. Because I think last year there were about 5 or 6 summons which were not honored. And this year I think 2. So we are persuading him to work on that.
Yeah, because when we have that conversation, you know, a lot of things emerge. In fact, if you'd have come before 31st of March, we'll have already done half the work. Or this is when now we seem like we are starting. So on that, the governor has a constitutional obligation to appear before the Senate, and I think he has done the right thing by coming here. It's not something we need to negotiate about. Governor, in closing.
Chair, the issue of appearances of governors is something that we do not want to start afresh again. Let us just agree on that matter. It is something that at high top leadership level we were able to discuss, and I think we moving forward. It was a collective decision. Moving forward, let us just agree on what needs to be done. But secondly, Chair, which is good, it is the role of the auditor to actually look at revenue streams that were not able to perform. But then what was not highlighted was revenue streams that actually outperformed, which is natural.
The audit is exception.
Yeah. Which is natural. The direction in which the county government of Mombasa is taking is we have to move away from the traditional ways of doing things. It is not sustainable. And a classic example, you asked about physical planning. Yours truly pushed something from the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary to the the Attorney General, all the way up to summit on issues of how do state corporations that they're actually meant to pay, including the people from affordable housing and all. I had a meeting today morning with the CS for Treasury on how we can ensure that state corporations chip in whenever they're doing any developments. All this is an issue of how you're going to increase your own source revenue. We have an agreement right now that got the blessings of PPRA and got the blessings of everyone else, every legal entity, on allowing Kenya Ports Authority to be able to be a collector of revenue on our behalf because of trucks and all, which we have seen an increase in revenue. We are putting in CCTVs, we are digitizing, we have advertised. Currently, as we speak, we are digitizing our own internal digitization system for the health, which is going to be a whole comprehensive. The contracts were just finalized, I think, 2 days ago. So they're starting right now, and they've given me an indication that within 3 months we would have seen some great impact on what needs to be done. And are we wrong to say that we are over-projecting? Because if you look at everything else, the biggest issue that is being raised by the auditor is that the county government of Mombasa has over-projected of where they want to go. It does not mean that we have collected less than what we did last year, year before, and so forth. Again, we are proud that because of coming up with innovative ways on how we can be able to collect revenue, today we are collecting revenue without necessarily having touched our Finance Act. It's just how do we maximize on what needs to be done, bearing in mind that you already have certain systems. What systems can you be able to be able to put into place? So are we going to see an increase? Yes. Will we see a possibility that we are again over projecting? Probably because I'm over ambitious in nature. I'm over ambitious in nature. That is the reason why it was our over projection that made other revenue streams that we had hope on have an increase. If we did not, then even those revenue streams like parking and other revenue streams that are there would not have seen. Today's figures that we will be closing this financial year for land rates, we will be seeing an increase. We will be seeing an increase in our figures for health as well, and way more. So mine is just to say thank you. I mean, it is always eye-opening to come to the Senate and be shown probably some things that I would not have necessarily seen if it was not for the effort of Senate. So mine is to say thank you, and we look forward to future engagements with yourself. And thank you again for being a protector of devolution.
Thank you. We've got work to do for county governments. We have to go to the chamber to fight for county governments to get 454 billion Kenya shillings.
Thank you.
It's a firm position we are taking, and we believe that counties deserve even much more than that. So irrespective of who the governor is, irrespective of who's in office, this is money that goes to the people of Mombasa and to the rest of the counties. I just want to encourage your team that your ambitions should also match that of your governor. Because if the ambition of the leader is far higher than the team, then you end up with these shortfalls that we are seeing here. But Governor, we wish you well. We want devolution to succeed, and we would love our second city to be a case study on devolution. We would like people to come from Cape Town to figure out how Mombasa did it. We would like people to come from Kampala to figure out how Mombasa sorted out waste management. We would like people to come from Dodoma to figure out how Mombasa sorted out issues of youth unemployment. And we will work with you, hold your hands. Where we can advise, we shall advise. Where we can push for additional funding, we shall do so. And where we have to correct, we shall correct.
Asante sana.
We wish you a safe journey back home, and we shall communicate on our specific recommendations and the date for our next conversation on expenditure. And perhaps it would even be best for us to do it in Mombasa City.
Karibu sana.
Sawa sawa.